there? You sure just suppressing me and keeping people from fucking watching isn't enough? I wonder if the title has it. You see, if I'm wrong, then YouTube and trolls should have no interest. But if there's any evidence that YouTube and Russia have been harassing and tampering with my channel and its viewability, its ratings, shall we say, then you might want to listen up. Because the title of this video has been proven by the cover-up. And I don't just mean the cover-up that I'm talking about. I mean the cover-up of any attempt to try to bring this conversation forward. Any crazy conspiracy theory is entertained until you find the truth. But anyways, welcome to YouTube, where you broadcast yourself, where anybody can earn a living if they work hard enough and post valuable content. At least that's what YouTube said when I gave them my social security number and filed a fucking 1099 with them and invested money into my success here on YouTube. Thinking that there were people at YouTube who didn't want to be in cooperation with Russia. I thought, oh, sure, maybe there's some Russian agents there, but surely YouTube as a whole, YouTube as a company, doesn't represent the agenda of the Russians and terrorists who just seem to make such good, convenient use out of it. You see, we know Donald Trump is involved with Russia. How? Like, what have people been deducing about that, It's just plain fucking logic. He goes from no meetings to, no collusion, and no collusion to collusion isn't illegal, and fuck. Even if it is illegal, oh, you can't fucking indict me, So we know that because he's been lying, there's something there. Right, now that we know there's a fucking Moscow Tower, he's been lying about the Moscow Tower, the contacts with Russians, we know that fucking contacts with Russians. He was lying every step of the way, and that's how we know there's more there. We know there's a conspiracy there because we know there's a conspiracy to cover up something. So, YouTube seems to be interested in covering up certain things. There's a lot of wild taboo subjects, like you can talk about anything, basically, on YouTube. There's a very successful channel called China Uncensored. It's basically anti-Chinese propaganda. And they admit as much. I should be considered as basically their sister channel in that I'm anti-Russian propaganda, but for some reason, there is no Russia Uncensored. When was YouTube first created? And what was going on in the world at the time? You see, we know how Facebook, I mean, well, sure. We know how Facebook started getting infusions of Russian capital right around the time Obama got elected. We know that they just started to want to connect everybody after basically advanced communications led to the worst terrorist attacks we ever suffered. And they essentially, Facebook from their inception, forced Americans to identify themselves while allowing Russians not to. Period. That's what they did. We have to have real names. Trolls don't. But YouTube is a category all by itself. Google has been, throughout its history, coercive behind the scenes, taking advantage of a lack of laws to strong arm its way into putting everyone else out of business. When Google first came out, you had MapQuest, Yahoo Maps, MSN. You had land data, and you had a growing number of services that could provide this sort of thing. And Google has basically committed racketeering in its conspiracy to violate every principle of antitrust regulations, every principle of fair business practices. But most importantly, their entire corporate model has been to intentionally weaken the United States of America. By going after independent companies, by absorbing ideas, by basically consolidating wealth in an entirely new, dangerous, and unprecedented way, they have accumulated more power than our own government while serving the interests of the Russian Federation almost exclusively. Now, when you go on YouTube, you see a wide variety of information, and you think it's a complete spectrum on what human beings might have to offer. But this is simply not the case. You have an exercise in mundanity. Anything enlightened, anything that actually might make people think on anything more but a cliche basis is not allowed on YouTube. It should be the stuff that draws the views and draws the watch time. People with interesting minds making interesting vlogs, talking about interesting things, was YouTube's bread and butter for a long time. Because they conspire with Russia, they've stopped doing that because people are starting to wake up. They, for a while, had a whole bunch of different people promoted doing exactly that. All those people had one thing in common. They were all anti-establishment. They were all trying to get you to turn against the system. This is a consistent pattern throughout YouTube's history since its inception in 2005. Now, what was going on in 2005? We were invading Iraq. Why were we invading Iraq? Because Putin told us he had weapons of mass destruction. He later said he warned us not to go in there, but clearly had fed us the information one way or the other. Because while we had been selling them some mustard gas and shit like that back in the 70s, or 68 I think it was, and then Reagan had sold them some conventional weapons. The main supplier of Iraq has always been Russia. Main supplier of that entire fucking region is Russia. But that's kind of beside the point. Whether or not Russia tricked us to going in there. Kind of beside the point. Russia knew we were going in there. So if anything was part of their plan, what would that plan have been? Well, if YouTube was part of their plan, we can plainly see what the effect was. What YouTube became was a way for people to send messages on a wide enough scale, on a large enough scale that they would be hard to track and intercept. And what it got used subsequently was as a recruiting tool for the Islamic State. So basically, YouTube had two big major calls to popularity. There was Islamic State beheading videos, and there were UFO videos. And then, of course, the one that's been consistently up and just shows up on everybody's feed all the time is Russian driving fails. But that's more modern. That wasn't the original thing. But just think about it. YouTube came into existence and didn't wind up a platform for random people wanting to chat, like, you know, most of the internet naturally winds up as. It wound up as a place for UFO videos and terrorists. Now, what's funny is every single UFO channel is focused on NASA. Every UFO conspiracy that gets publicized is focused on NASA. In fact, every conspiracy on YouTube is focused at the United States government. For 10 years. Shit. Damn near 13. Only recently do mainstream media outlets get even, like, you know, on to the clued-inness of reality. Just barely. They just barely have the slightest clue about reality. And then we have the first posting, other than my channel, that basically says that Russia's shit doesn't stink. Or actually stinks, excuse me. Until then, every conspiracy talking about the New World Order and the Illuminati and globalism, every single pundit, every single channel, every little talking head either acted as though Russia did not exist, or that they are somehow some harmless group of peace-loving people that just want corporations to not be so powerful, so people can have freedom and shit. Yeah, right. When it doesn't take, any more than the basics of mental ripeness, for your skull to have finished hardening, maybe, to realize that, Russia spreads anti-corporate propaganda. They spread anti-establishment propaganda here in America. Not to help the American people, but to turn us against each other in our government, to make us weaker, to make corporations weaker, to make us weaker. Because they have wanted to conquer us since before any of us were born. How's it going, Mr. Conway? So while YouTube was basically paying out millions of dollars to anti-American conspiratorial con artists, anything to do with Russia was singled out and silenced. Now, I proved this by starting my channel talking about lots of things. Remember, I waited until the following got up and the views got up and kept on increasing. And then I mentioned why I came here from Facebook, from the Support Ukraine group. And boy, did my growth stagnate. Now, the people at YouTube might bullshit themselves and say that, well, we can just say that people didn't want to hear that. But the fact of the matter is, there's always someone who wants to hear everything. It's just a matter of whether or not YouTube wants you to hear it. As if they don't have the ability to recognize user traits. Interest in things like war history and patriotism. Oh no. Their algorithm has no ability to recognize those types of things. They don't fucking make profiles of people and characterize their search history over fucking decades. No, nothing like that. Yet somehow, when Trump-Russia broke, not one fucking person got recommended to this channel. The source of it all. When somebody is hiding something, they're usually hiding something. When somebody doesn't want to talk about something, they must feel uncomfortable with the subject. And when someone doesn't want anybody to talk about something, they must feel so genuinely guilty that they're terrified of being found out. You see, until the pressure got on with the Russia investigation, long after they suppressed my channel, YouTube had no interest in whether or not somebody used profanity or whether or not the subject matter was taboo. As long as you weren't instigating fucking direct hatred and violence, and even then they were rather lenient, you were likely to get 60,000 to 120,000 views per video just by talking about relevant subjects. All you have to do is just be a basically entertaining person. Boost your results and descriptions and everything. You know, there's supposed to be ways to work the system. And if you put hard work into it, you're supposed to get fucking results out. Unless the one thing I did differently from all those different channels that I researched, you know, like when you get a job somewhere, you go and you look at the different positions and you decide whether you want to be a stock clerk or a bag boy or a cashier or whatever, right? Well, I looked at all the fucking cashiers and bag boys and stock clerks and I saw how they was, okay? And the only thing I did differently, nothing to do with Jesus, nothing to do with flat earth, nothing to do with 9/11. Those subjects have been successful on this platform for decade now. For a whole fucking decade now. Those subjects have been prosperous and making YouTube millions. I mentioned the fact that Russia was behind promoting all of those conspiracies. And YouTube shut me the fuck down. Where there's a cover-up, there's a crime. Now, if I would have just been another random crazy person making another random crazy assertion, if it wasn't true, there should be no problem, right? It would be like, come see the freak show. What are the Russians in innocence? The Russians not being up to anything would be so offended by this that they would, oh, there's a person expressing their opinion in another country. We want you, the American company, to suppress them for us because it hurts our feelings. No, Russia's hiding something and fucking YouTube's hiding something. Wonder what that might be. You see, the particular thing that I've mentioned about Russia this entire time is that they've been behind terrorism throughout history. They've blamed it on Jews, they've blamed it on Muslims, they've blamed it on all kinds of different people that they propagandized and equipped and coordinated. These people are puppet masters compared to Western leaders. Now, it hasn't just been the connection between Russia and terrorism. It's what that implies. You see, if Russia supported terrorism in the 2000s, in the late 2000s, in the mid 2000s, and supported terrorism in the 70s and 80s, took a break while they were getting their shit together, I suppose. So you can make this little time frame, okay? Here, below this house that I've been drawing. Isn't that a nice house? Check out that house, Conway. Yeah, that's my little modular system. That's a mansion that it can build. I like it. You should see the fucking floor plan. It's pimp. It's a 4-bedroom, 5-bath, 4-car garage. 68,000 in materials. Anyway, let me here. So, I know my camera's like mirrored, isn't it? So, 2. Which way is the 2? That's backwards, right? Is that backwards or forwards? Can you read that? Anyways. So I'm just going to stick to writing numbers. So if they're backwards, just try to bear with it. All right? That was regular. It's just weird because this is mirrored for me. Like, you know, like when I'm on my little broadcast thing, I gotta flip it to. How's that even possible? Can you just read backwards? All right, so. All right, so Gaddafi. All right. Here you have Putin's rise to power. Okay, officially taking power in 99. All right. The only time the Soviet Union, Russia, wasn't supporting terrorism is in the 90s. They were supporting Gaddafi and the IRA and the PLO, the Iranian Guard, etc. Okay? Don't need to fucking point out the Soviet Union was bad and did a lot of bad shit. Okay. Then we had the Berlin Wall, 91, right? Let me try to write it backwards. 91. There we go. Is that 19? 91. There we go. So from there to there, we didn't have a Russia that we understood, but we did have Felix Sater. Feeding the United States government information about Al-Qaeda. However, Al-Qaeda never really launched an attack until right when Putin was rising to power. Might have been one of them things that got him power, because that's how people get power in Russia. It's not like they decide on who likes who the best, you know, like it's this guy is the most powerful and cunning and proven it, and that's how they get power. That's also how they get title. That's how he got his title, Putin. And from what I can interpret from Sean's, Mr. Conway's research, it seems like his title means mastermind or thought control or something like that. Like a thinker, kind of. A thought thinker. Mastermind, really? Mastermind. Kind of like Caesar breaks down to Savior. But anyway. I'm being overwhelmed by the smell of cat piss in here. Fucking keeping extra smoke in the air just to quell the damn smell. Oh, and now, even though, you know, I'm 37, my balls don't count for anything anymore. I'm not allowed to have any more kids. This fucking cat. Laney, they're talking about letting him keep his balls. Because he's just so damn cute. And I kind of agree with it, but I'm like, having old kingly urges, let me just say. He is a damn good looking, very smart, and extremely personable cat. When he's not sleeping on my fish lights. That pisses me off. But anyway. So look at this crappy excuse for a timeline. Alright. Felix Sater. Okay. Trump broke. Trump fucking up casinos. Okay. Putin takes power. Trump builds towers in New York City. 2 of them. 2 towers go up. 2001 comes around. 2 towers go down. Felix Sater. Okay? Just, it's all about this motherfucker right here. But as far as Russia's support of terrorism, that's what I was trying to point out here, is that you have a period of ambiguity right here. If I can make a backwards question mark, looking that way at this. Wow, okay, it actually worked. There's a period of ambiguity here, but as of about 2006, 2007, we have Assad. Let's see if I can write Assad there. Is that, no, this is hilarious. A S S A D. It just says DASA. Okay, let me try this again. A S S A D. There we go. Assad. Okay. Russia was supporting Assad, not DASA or BASA. Russia was supporting Assad, and Assad was supporting the Baathists, who, by the way, used to just buy weapons from Russia directly. This is so much more fun, though, trying to write it backwards. You know me, I like intentionally screwing shit up. So, I mean, one of the biggest stories that made it so appalling that Trump was colluding with Russia to begin with is that Russia had been knowingly supplying the Baathists in Iraq through the Assad regime. That was on Maddow, for fuck's sake. Then you had the Boston bomber. And you had the invasion of Chechnya, or the second war in Chechnya, or whatever, South Ossetia. What? Isn't that when that happened? I don't even fucking know anymore. Then they had the invasion of Georgia. Oh, wait. And Obama was like, you know, hungover, like, well, just had a party. What the fuck? Russia invaded? Something. Where? I can't blame him for not knowing what the fuck to do. If I was him, I would have called Mitt Romney up, been like, hey, you were saying something about Russia? Holy shit, I did not see this coming. I also did not see those right-wing fascists coming. I don't know how I did not see that. But for some reason, I did not see the white supremacist movement taking over. I'm having way too much fun with that. I apologize. Nazi! Okay. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Hey. Okay. I'm done being entertained for the moment. So, back to the chart. What the fuck is going on here? I think I'm going to need a new chart. I think I need to write it with my left hand or something. I think I haven't practiced mirror writing in a very long time. Like I'd rather try to play the Bridge of Fur Elise. When I was in 3rd grade, oh, like a boss. And try to write the. Oh. Nope, the only way I'm going to be able to retrain myself to do it is by writing both ways. That's the secret to learning how to write backwards. You train your left hand how to do it by writing symmetrically. And, yeah. Anyways. So if you do it in a mirror, you can train yourself to write upside down with the right hand and upside down and backwards with the left hand. And then, you know, you can confuse everyone. But I used, like, when I first learned how to write cursive, for some reason, I wanted to do that with it. Anyways. So let's try to focus on this shit. This period, supporting terrorism. From this period on, supporting terrorism. Okay? Way back here, supporting terrorism. All this time, supporting terrorism. Why are we assuming that when Putin took power, he wasn't already acting like all of this and all of this? When Putin was taking power, he took power immediately after the Cole bombing. When Al-Qaeda made its voice known, Putin took power. You know, just like when Al-Qaeda in Iraq made its voice known. When Islamic State started with all the beheadings and shit, YouTube took power. Wait. We have 9/11, where Putin was the first one to call. Then we have 11/9, when Putin was the first one to call. We have suspicious omissions on the part of YouTube regarding all of this, especially the connections not just between Russia and terrorism. Nobody, not one single conspiracy, not one single news pundit, nobody, not one single conspiracy, not one single news, nobody. But even when they talk about 9/11 conspiracy, they have a particular omission: the connection between Trump and Silverstein. Now, you can find, posted since the era of what I call black hole videos, that is, places designed not to be a rabbit hole where you can go and get false information, okay, but a place designed to absorb your views, to lead nowhere, to lead to no other channels, no other places, anything like that, to make you think that there's a few people who've seen it, but not enough for you to feel like you can do anything about it. And that view count maybe grows once every 100 times it's viewed. That's a black hole, okay? A lot like all of my videos. But not entirely. Because this one is searchable. These are searchable. You can go and find Trump talking about Silverstein. You can go and find people blaming Trump because of this connection. Okay? This is a new thing that only happened when Trump took office. All right? But like I said, marginal little black hole type videos. They all have much higher view counts than my channel. And none of them mention Russia. Yeah, they mentioned Trump. They mentioned Trump after the election. They mentioned 9/11 and Trump after the election. But they don't fucking connect Russia to terrorism. At all. And they sure as fuck didn't figure out the Felix Sater thing. So where there's a conspiracy, there's a cover-up. And where there's a cover-up, there's a crime. Here we have a conspiracy, not just a single cover-up. We have multiple cover-ups connecting Donald Trump, Russia, and 9/11. You see, even if it's hard for someone who doesn't understand how easy it is to program that, to understand what an internet black hole is, what that can be on YouTube, especially the biggest fake rating system ever created. That's what YouTube is. Okay? And they experimented somewhere before this. That's why I think Nielsen got. Seinfeld was an experiment in corrupting Nielsen ratings, okay? I think that was how they got the data on how to do this so effectively. But irregardless, you can't connect Trump to 9/11 without connecting him to Russia and connecting Russia to 9/11. You can't do that. Once you have evolved to your full fucking form as a conspiracy knowledgeist, not just a theorist, and you realize how many theories are out there and that our opinions are like assholes and that everybody has one, you realize that there's a lot of educated people who have been saying a lot of very smart things for a long fucking time. And they're not in cahoots with each other, they're in competition with each other. For them to get things wrong, there has to be a reason. Robert Mueller, impeccable character. You'd have to really be paranoid to think he was up to fucking no good, okay? He's never done anything acting suspicious. Say, like, you know, act completely nonchalantly in the face of something really terrifying. But we were led to believe that he was covering up Bush's and the Saudis' 9/11 conspiracy. And Dick Cheney and blah, 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 okay? Because he was the FBI director. He did the investigation. He had to be covering for them. The only way he could have gotten it wrong is if there was somebody else there corrupting the investigation. The only two people in positions to do that were Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani. And, of course, the owner of the Trade Center, Larry Silverstein. It's funny how these three guys are in such close cahoots. All three of them. Now that's when you understand the preponderance of data. The preponderance of data is something fucking happened that doesn't fit the narrative. So somebody had to feed the narrative to the investigators. Do you know anybody recently who's been feeding narratives to investigators? Oh, that'd be Rudy Giuliani. He wasn't just feeding narratives to investigators back then. He was putting his people in charge of the fucking investigation. Like, literally, Robert Mueller was overseeing it, and Rudy Giuliani was fucking appointing people and say, here, go report to Robert Mueller. And Robert Mueller, in many cases, had no choice but to say, okay, thank you. Carry on. And I wish I could name more specific incidences of this. But you can go find that shit out on your own. And yes, Seinfeld was not as good as a show as Friends. Therefore, could not have been higher rated. Okay? Like, I've never even found a Seinfeld fan who thinks that Seinfeld really did better than Friends. You know? As long as they're like a skeptical person. But you know who happened to be one of the producers of Seinfeld? Bannon. Now, I don't know whether he's a Chechen fucking Khazar or whether he's just some deluded racist white guy. I don't know how long he served in the Navy. I don't know anybody who served with him. Then again, I ain't asked nobody of the older veterans that I know. But, he's a fucking snake, man. If it looks like a Satanist, acts like a Satanist, and talks like a Satanist, it's probably a fucking Satanist. And he'll basically tell you as much. People like that are into wielding power through deception. And, you know, it's not like there's some kind of intelligence agency protecting the board of Nielsen. You know what I'm saying? So all it would take is infiltrating the board of Nielsen, ratings agency, right? And then having some sort of contractor sell them a technology. Right? Some kind of new way of gathering ratings. Okay? And then the board member that's on their side anyways will convince everybody else, hey, this is a great new technology. Next thing you know, boom, they're in control of their own fucking ratings. And then with the bandwagon effect, who knows, maybe Seinfeld did have some really good fucking nights. But you know what? Everybody likes Friends. Half the people I know can't fucking stand Seinfeld. Okay? I mean, really, like, I can't. Seinfeld, click, you know, like. And they even said it. It's kind of like they're the real version of what Trump pretended to be. You know, Trump pretended he was surprised to win the election. Well, they were genuinely surprised they had such high ratings because it was, in their own words, a show about nothing. Anyway. But yeah, polls and everything have been very untrustworthy since then. And the more we rely on the internet, the more screwed we are. The internet's ratings are pushed by agendas of people who are powerful enough to have bots and troll armies and all kinds of shit. And generally speaking, the only ones doing that have been Russia. I need to find some more coffee. I don't know what's going on with that coffee. Okay. Sorry about that. I am fucking out of coffee. So I had to brew some more. So now I have to wait for coffee. It's just not right, I tell you. Anyway. So I'm going to try to redo this timeline in a pictographic format. How about that? Then they don't have to be. And then it doesn't have to be left or right. Oh yeah. That looks just like Putin. Okay. This is just going to be the worst little thing I've ever drawn. And I'm kind of enjoying it. Okay, hold on. I'm almost done, kind of. All right. I think I just successfully wrote backwards for a second there. Why am I doing that wrong? Oh, cool. right way. Yes. 99, 98. There we go. All right. So here's the deal. We've got consistent proof of Russia supporting terrorism since '05. We've got proof of them being behind the Taliban recently and before the Cold War ended. We've got proof of them being behind all kinds of different terrorism before the Cold War ended. During this period between the Berlin Wall and 1998, you had Al-Qaeda. Okay? You had the rise of Putin. You had some weird different things. But mostly the big threat was Al-Qaeda. And it was just like, nobody cared, kind of. And here's where you had Felix Sater. Oh, and I just drew it on the wrong damn side. Now I'm drawing it the wrong way. Okay, shit. F E L I X. Well, since I wrote him twice, let's do his two different roles. Alright, so during this period, Felix Sater provided information on Al-Qaeda, the threat that was here when the Cold War was over. Okay. That led to Bill Clinton's response to the Cole bombing, I believe, which was to attack Osama bin Laden. And Felix Sater, like I said, gave the United States government phone numbers that were GPS satellite phones for bin Laden's family members. Because, you know, he just had the right yellow pages in his back pocket. So this time period, he was supposedly working for the United States. Okay, supposedly. And here he was working for Trump. And I don't know the specifics of his resume, but the more I hear, the more it seems like he was working for Trump this entire fucking time after not killing Osama bin Laden. After almost killing, you know. He had a lot of good information that only somebody connected to Al-Qaeda would know. But when it came to chopping the head off the chicken, he came up short. Then he goes to work for Trump. What does Trump do? Trump builds 2 black towers in New York City. Again, this guy who knew all about Al-Qaeda goes to work for Trump. Trump builds 2 black towers in New York City, one of which is across from the UN. Also known as the UN. Does this make a lot more sense with the graphic? I mean, as horrible as the graphic is, it's kind of compelling to see all this shit together like this. And just see how close it all fucking relates. Trump having been recently bailed out by Russian mobsters, which apparently Felix Sater is, which I don't entirely, you know, Al-Qaeda, he's a Russian mobster. Okay, but anyway, he builds these towers, gets them done between 98 and 2000 for one of them, 99 and 2001 for the other. Okay? And one of them is right across the street from the UN. And the other is, I think, the 5th Avenue Trump Tower that we all see the protesters outside of. This one, he doesn't have the big gold Trump on. Then, 9/11 happens. Felix Sater still working for Trump. Trump now able to rent out all these buildings. And we go and invade the wrong country because, well, Bush could see into the soul of Vladimir Putin. Why would he have said something like that? What did Putin give to Bush? Okay, now I've discussed this several times, and this has been a long-going standing of mine. What did Putin give to Bush? information-wise? Okay, what did he admit? You know, like to really gain somebody's trust, you got to admit something. If they pretty much know you're a bullshitter, right? Right? It seems that way. I know people have fucking gained my trust and screwed me over plenty of times by pretending to admit something. What did Putin admit? Bush saw into his soul. Bush trusted him all of a sudden, as if he'd confessed something. And then we invaded Iraq. We couldn't show the intelligence, but boy, we were confident. Why is that? See, Putin didn't say we shouldn't attack Saddam. He said we shouldn't invade. Supposedly. Those are his words after the fact. Putin's words. But my coffee's ready, so hold on. Like, this makes me wish I had, you know, what YouTube prevented me from getting. Because, you know, if I would have actually made bank on the fucking AdSense, we'd have like a staff and a production crew and crap, right? Hell, we'd have other people doing this research and making videos, like, for me under my direction. And I'd be like filming videos from the locations of shit that I was doing. So, have from the 70s to 91. Okay, so you got 30 years. And I mean, really, how do you define the Soviets' fucking terrorism? Really, it's from genocide to terrorism. Like, what would... And really, they were doing this. We're talking about jihadism, I suppose, just specifically. I've released a fucking novel explaining how they were going to use jihadism to take down the United States. Okay. So that's a pretty long period. That's 30 years. Okay. And then for almost 20 years, we don't know. Okay? We don't know. I get a feeling he knows. We don't know. Terrorism and the Russians. And then Chechens, Islamic State. Terrorism. Is it that we don't know that they were behind the terrorism? Or is it that we just don't want... We just don't want to know that this goes right the fuck through here. In fact, this goes all through all of this. Everybody's got one. People are talking about it. I'm talking about it right now. There's just Conway. 3,000 subscribers. Oh, the connections to terrorism. They don't want you to talk about the connections between Russia and conspiracy theories. It's those videos, even on Rachel Maddow, that get suppressed. Oh yeah, they always have like half the views of her regular fucking videos, even though it's a more interesting subject. Go look. But then, even the conspiracy theorists themselves, they're either going to talk about 9/11 and Russia in the context of the Clintons and the liberals, and how the liberals and the Muslims and the liberals and Muslims and Muslims and liberals. As if Russia was still communist. And they'll say it was a rogue submarine and Putin was upset. Fascinating. Kursk, by the way, the Kursk with the cruise missile. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if they talk about Trump and 9/11 on videos posted after Trump Russia broke as a story, everybody knows Trump's involved with 9/11. Everybody knows Russia is one of the most likely suspects to be behind 9/11. Like, everybody thought that day, did Russia attack us? Everybody thought it. Then Putin called and asked if we were okay. And we were like, oh, okay. It was Al Qaeda? Okay, it was Al Qaeda. Nobody said it out loud because we're like, oh, did Russia attack us? Well, the Cold War's over. Please, somebody say something. Please, somebody mention some other enemy. Oh, Al Qaeda. Yeah, Al Qaeda. Get them. But if they mention Trump and 9/11, if they happen to mention that Silverstein connection, there's a couple videos, a couple little videos to do. Just a couple. They don't mention Russia. Even at, I mean, really, after Trump and Russia broke, after Trump's been proven to collude, I mean, wouldn't they just jump all over that? Like, we figured out Trump was connected to 9/11. And he's connected to the Russians. And how can you not then connect the Russians to terrorism? It's called history. All of history connects the Russians to terrorism. Fuck. So anyways. Oh yeah, before I start making too much sense, crazy Jesus guy, blah blah blah. Yeah. Don't listen to me. What do I know? Yeah, yeah. I'm just a deity pretending to be a normal person, pretending to be a deity. Some what? Shh! Don't tell him. It's like missionaries pretending to be actors, pretending to be mercenaries. All you gotta do is get them drunk. Like, seriously, we would joke about that. These fucking people pay to watch us drink and just have fun. Because those, you know, people with poor culture, people in cities, they didn't have that storytelling tradition that we had in, Hebrew. Ibrahim Magdalena, Europe. Is it just me, or does Europe sound censored for Europe putts? Europe. I mean, we all know what European sounds like. Just, don't do it in public or you'll go to jail. Anyway. So I think Mueller's onto this. Because I think that's what got basically right after I contacted them was when they and we've been kind of expanding upon this and debating it, amongst ourselves here. I've been debating it amongst myself a lot too. Head to crack, supposedly. She's got herself a deal. And I can only wonder how much she's going to squeal. I wouldn't be shocked as shit if Trump resigned tomorrow. Just thinking it was going to somehow help him. But he probably won't.